today we're going to install the Mopar steel bumper and a worn EVO12 synthetic winch. And that is my grandkid, Liam. Say hi, Liam.
Hi.
Be careful, buddy.
Okay.
He's my little helper sometimes.
What is that white stuff?
It is poop. So don't touch the white stuff. We're going to have to go wash this thing.
In the car wash.
In the car wash.
Because hose don't work.
Right. Well, then I'm going to get to work while you're there.
Okay.
Again, we're going to start the Mopar steel bumper and a worn 12,000 pound synthetic line winch. The JK has the Xeon 10,000 pound winch with synthetic line, and this is a real premium quality worn winch. And that's what she is right there. Now, I am going to say that this is a factory Mopar steel bumper. I actually got this on eBay, and it's a replica. It's still steel bumper. It still looks like the manufacturer's Mopar OEM bumper. There's a few different things that I'm assuming makes it possible for them to build this bumper. And to get past the IP infringement. For example, these holes here you'll see on the bumper, those are actually for parking sensors, which the factory Mopar bumpers do not have. There is covers that go here. This bumper actually comes with LED fog lights, which was really surprising. It comes with the winch plate, and it also comes with the small bull bar, all for $435 on eBay. If I was to buy the Mopar bumper and all the parts separately, we were looking at $1,200 to $1,300 just to buy the Mopar bumper. So I mean, that saves us quite a bit. And we are in the middle of a pandemic, so we got to save every penny we can. You know what I'm saying? Every penny. Every penny. Especially when I got two of these now. You be careful back there, buddy. We're going to remove this bumper, and we're going to start by removing this plastic piece. There's two push pins here, and I'm not sure if you can see them, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more in the inside there. You can see that. So we're going to go ahead and start removing those, and then that should give us access to the bolts to remove this OEM bumper. There's nothing wrong with this bumper. It's actually a pretty good looking bumper. However, it's not winch ready, and it's not steel. It's plastic, polycarbonate, whatever the case may be. But remove it and put a steel bumper. And this steel bumper will actually allow me to take these end pieces off and go with a stubby version of it. So it turns into a stubby, which is pretty nice. So let's get started. Let's start replacing this bumper. And now we can remove this piece here. Okay, so you'll have to remove this from the fog light housing. I'm not sure where the other one is at, but there's 4 bolts, 2 on this side and then 2 in the inside. I'm sure we'll see the factory plug for this side of the fog light, unless it's tied into the same wiring harness. We'll see when we take this front bumper on, but let's get this off now. The other thing we want to do is we want to remove this cover. Basically, this is what protects the electronic disconnect, sway bar disconnect. So we're going to go ahead and remove these bolts, remove this. This will give us access to install the winch as well. So let's just go ahead and remove that now. and we'll get that out of the way. Okay, so these bolts here are 16mm bolts. There's 2 on each side. So I'm going to remove that one, that one, that one. And I don't see the other one. I think it's, yeah, there it is. So it's underneath. It's underneath there. Okay, these inner bolts here, they're going to be 18mm. So there's a total of 8, 4 on each side. So we'll start removing those. Once you get all 4 or 8 bolts removed, this unplugged, this should just pull off. So let's give it a shot. And there she is, all beautiful.
Why did you do that in front of everybody?
So now the new bumper will connect here and here. Now I'm not sure what we're going to do about the wiring harness, because this actually was the harness for both. So I might have to remove it from that bumper and kind of adapt to it. So we'll see. But I noticed when I was removed underneath, this seemed to have peeled off. So I put it back in. So I'm just going to add an extra layer of tape around that. I added an extra layer of electrical tape, and then I added a layer on top of that of Gorilla tape. Now we're going to mount the winch plate. It's a good idea to put zip ties just to hold up the plate in place while you place all the bolts in their respected areas. But just a little tip for you. Once I do that, then I can go ahead and mount the winch and start mounting the front bumper, and then we'll get all the wiring done. I'll probably do all the wiring obviously before I put the front bumper on, but we'll get the winch plate in and we'll get started. Okay, we got the winch plate all mounted, supported pretty good. Okay, everything, I made sure there's plenty of room for the bolts to go in, lined them up, remove the zip ties, and we're ready to mount the winch. Stay tuned. Very nice fair lead.
Okay, never mind.
What's up, buddy?
There's bird poop on your door.
Yeah, go on the other side. Damn birds. Fairlead hardware. Looks like we got the controller here. Oh, how cute. It's so small. And it looks like we have a ground cable. So I am looking for these nuts right here. I believe that's what goes into the winch that holds it in place. You put them in here basically. Put the bolt underneath, and that's what holds the winch in place. So let's get to work. One thing too that I noticed is this comes pre-spooled, which is very nice. Usually they don't come that way. Normally you would have to spool it yourself and run the line in, but it looks like on the VR series, I'm assuming because it takes a different line, it's already pre-spooled for you. So that's pretty nice. So I kind of like that. It saves you a lot of time. But anyway, it's looking good so far. Let's get it hooked up. Okay, now we want to mount, we want to line up the holes so that you can get to the bolts here. Just like that. This one seems a little off. There we go. It's just the bolts. Okay, once you get them all lined up, you can start getting the bolts in, and we should be good to go. All right, now we're going to tighten them all down. Once you mount it, you go ahead and route the power and the ground wires. I went ahead and mounted it through there underneath. Remove this, and I'm actually going to zip tie everything next to the power wires. I'm not sure. Just get everything up above, make sure nothing's touching anything that shouldn't be, and then I'm going to zip tie everything down. I routed it through here. Got the cable, the power wire mounted. Now I'm about to route the ground cable around here and to the negative post, and then we'll be done. Okay, power's done. Got everything nice zip tied down. Before I put the bumper on, I am going to go ahead and test it just to make sure. It looks good to me. Make sure you run cable out, enough cable so that you can route it through the fairlead through the bumper. So that's important to make sure you remember that part. And then that's it. Okay, now that I have the winch installed, I gotta get these fog lights hooked up. However, the Gladiator has a different connection system than the, like my JK or even the new steel bumpers have. So basically what it is, instead of a connection on this side and a connection on this side, the Gladiator has one connection that comes off from the passenger side, and it feeds this fog light and then that fog light. So I could have pulled the wiring harness from the original bumper, but I didn't want to go through the pain of having to remove all these what do you call these? I forget what it is, but I didn't want to go through the pain of having to remove all these and then having to remove all these little bolts just to get the wiring harness out. Besides, I plan to get rid of this bumper with the original fog lights already installed, so I just left the harness in there. So I went online through the same place I got all my Mopar parts from, BAM Wholesale, and I ordered this wiring harness to make it easier for me. And I don't know if you can see the part number there, but this is the part number you would need for the 2020 Gladiator. What it does, it does exactly what I need it to do. Plugs into the factory OEM harness. It feeds this fog light and then goes all the way to the next one. So I'm going to have to route probably the cables under here on over here and feed that fog light harness. And I want to make sure there's no slack in the wiring, so I'm just going to have to figure out a way to zip tie these or something and get it all installed and then get the fog lights working. So I'm going to get to work on that, and we'll see you in a bit. Okay, the moment of truth here. So I cleaned up all the connections, zip tied everything where I could, where it's nice and snug, put the Christmas tree back in for the factory OEM connector. So everything is nice and clean. Routed the wires through there, zip tied where I could. Same here and same there. So now let's just check them out. So I think the way I'll check them out is by turning on the light show. I don't know if you guys have seen this before, but with the Taser, you're able to do a light show, and it uses all the different lights in the Jeep so to create a light show. So let's just try it out. And I can actually do it with the key fob, so I'm going to do that now. You got to lock, unlock, lock. There we go. And there's that lock. There's that fog light. There's that fog light. Okay. Everything looks good. Let's see what it does in the back. There you go. Pretty cool. All right, guys, how do you think it turned out? I think it looks pretty good. I did end up borrowing this off my old bumper. Without it, you'd see all kinds of holes behind it from the factory cut hole locations. But I ended up putting this on. I might actually end up ordering a different one, but for now this should do. The other thing I'm going to order is probably a factor 55 sidewinder to put here in gunmetal gray, so it'll kind of match the Jeep a little bit. And also the grill insert, I think that turned out really good. Originally it came all black, even this and this, but I thought it was too much. So what I did is I took the inner lining from the other factory fender and put it in here, and it kind of gave it a nice two-tone look, but looks kind of, I actually think it looks way better. Gives it that little bit more professional looking, if you ask me. All right, guys, well, that concludes the bumper and the winch install. I think next time we might get rid of these Rubicon decals and put something special there. Maybe here too. It's kind of what I'm thinking. But anyway, until next time, peace out. Over and out. And remember, take life by the horns.